In today's video, we're going to talk about my problem with a modern contest prep diet. Not much has really changed in bodybuilding over the past couple of decades. And as a whole, bodybuilders are a pretty unoriginal bunch. Now, I don't mean to insult anybody, I'm a bodybuilder myself, but I'm just being honest. So we typically try not to fix what isn't broken, and that's fine. But we have to sometimes try to think outside of the box. Just because a diet plan worked 30 years ago, or even in your last contest prep, doesn't mean that it's the most optimal. So we have to kind of get that through our heads, that just because it worked for somebody else doesn't mean that it's going to be the best for us. So what am I getting at? The modern contest prep diet. And unfortunately for us natural bodybuilders, we tend to steal a lot of things from the enhanced crew. So the enhanced group did a 12-week contest prep. We think we're going to do a 12-week contest prep, but because we don't have those PEDs to help us lose that fat, 12 weeks is just not enough. So what do? Aha, we're going to double. So instead, we're going to do a 24-week prep. That'll work, right? Well, unfortunately, that may not always be the case, right? 24 weeks might not be enough to lose all the fat that we need. So what do? Well, gotcha. We double it again, 48 weeks, right? That'll sure as hell be enough time to lose all the fat that we need. Well, now we're just getting a little silly as far as the length of time that we're looking to diet. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you that for my last show, I dieted for roughly 45 weeks, and it got me to where I needed to be, but looking back on it, I just don't think that that was the most optimal way. And I'll tell you why. I think a lot of coaches kind of just let us buy into the situation that, all right, it's going to take us 48 weeks, 50 weeks, 60 weeks for you to lose this weight to look contest shape. But if we're in a deficit for 48 weeks, for 60 weeks, however long it takes, how much lean tissue do you think you're going to lose? And the science has shown that there is a significant amount of lean tissue lost for a natural competitor when they're dieting for their shows. So that's no surprise. We do lose lean tissue as we're in a caloric deficit. My problem is the length of the deficit, I should say the continuous deficit, right? So if you're in a deficit continuously for 48 weeks, you're going to lose a ton of muscle. I don't care how slow you're losing that muscle, whatever your rate of loss is, even if it's 0.5 pounds a week. If you're in a deficit for that long, you are bound to lose muscle if you're in a deficit for 48 weeks at a time. So what am I getting at? We want to try to minimize the lean tissue loss for the contest prep. And I know what you're thinking, that I might be attacking the current system, right? Because everybody seems to have bought into that, right? We're just going to cut until you're ready, right? You got to take it to the extreme. Are you willing to push that hard for that long? And some coaches get people to buy into that. And I'm here to tell you that that may not be the most optimal route. It might get the people the results. Like I said, we tend not to fix things that aren't broken, but I'm here to tell you that there might be a better way. So my solution to this problem, as far as the natural competitors losing lean tissue, I'm calling it the muscle management diet, just to name it something. So in this diet, it's not going to be set standards of lengths of time. So I'm just going to give an example and explain the reasoning behind it. Now, let's say you diet for the first 12 weeks of prep, and you'll be in a caloric deficit for that time, and you'll cut calories, and you'll lose a certain amount of weight in those 12 weeks, and then let's say for the next 4 to 6 weeks, you're actually going to go back into caloric surplus. Then after those caloric surplus phase, you're going to dive back into another deficit, maybe 12 weeks or so. After that, you're going to go into another surplus phase. And you're going to do, let's say 2, 3, or maybe even 4, depending on how much weight you need to lose, how many phases you need to implement. So once again, it's not a certain number because it's an as-needed situation per the individual. So there's nothing going to be set in standard, right? And I'm actually trying this out for myself and one of my clients currently. I just completed phase 1. I'm about to finish it. This is my last week of dieting. And I've roughly lost about 15 pounds in about 15 weeks. So I dieted for a little bit longer than I expected. I thought I was going to do about a 12-week cut. I ended up doing about a 15-week cut, mainly because the weight was coming off so easy. Now I've noticed this last week that the weight's stalling a little bit, but that's a sign that I probably need to jump back into a caloric surplus and let my metabolism reset. That, and I hope to regain some lean tissue that I potentially lost. Now, I don't think during this first phase I lost very much lean tissue, considering my strength was increasing the whole time. But you could see that dieting for 12 weeks at a time would also be a lot more sustainable than having to diet for 48 or 60 weeks in a deficit. So assigning this to a client, you say, all right, we're going to go into a 12-week or a 15-week cutting phase. They're going to be like, okay, I could stick to this diet plan for those 12 weeks and not binge, not cheat on my diet, because I know at the end of this diet phase that I'm going to get a caloric increase for 4, 6, or even 8 weeks, depending on their rate of loss and how close to the show they are. And I know that some people might be saying, well, I do incorporate refeed days into my current diet. Okay, that's a good plan, and I've used that in my past, and I'm also currently using this on this diet program, but refeed days aren't a solution to help you maintain your lean tissue. Sure, they might give us a boost in glucose, we might have a little bit better performance in the gym, but that boost in glucose is not going to help us save lean tissue. It might help a little bit, and sure, we'll take anything that we can get, but I don't think having a refeed once a week or once every other week is going to help maintain that much lean tissue. Like I said before, I'm trying this on myself and on a client right now, so I can't have all the research to back this up, but I figured I'd bring this up because I'm going to be competing next year, and I wanted to get this out there about this new method and see how it works. There's also a larger benefit, to doing this. For most people, especially bodybuilders, they have to lose 30 to 50 pounds, which is actually pretty common. For us natural guys, myself included, and that's why I'm doing this for myself, we tend to get a little heavier than we should in the off season. And it's not uncommon for somebody to have to lose 30 to 50 pounds in order to get stage ready. So instead of having to lose 30 or 50 pounds all in one swoop, I'm saying, why don't you knock, 10 off here, 15 off there, another 10 off, and then go through the phases as necessary. Don't try to lose 50 pounds in one shot. I've done that in the past, and I felt like I lost a ton of muscle. And if you look at any other natural competitor who diets for an extremely long time, and you ask them, they probably will admit too that they lost a lot of muscle. So I hope that this kind of opens people's eyes about the modern concept of dieting, and you don't always have to buy what people are selling, right? So just because a coach says, all right, we're going to diet for 50 weeks straight, you should think about that to yourself, like, does that really make a lot of sense for what I'm trying to achieve? If you're a bodybuilder and your goal is to maintain as much muscle as possible, then dieting straight for 50 weeks might not be the smartest thing to do. Now, I'm not saying that, my method is going to be the most superior because I haven't tested it fully yet, but we'll see, come 2018 in the fall, how much muscle I'm able to maintain. And it should be interesting, and I hope that, if you guys really like, what you hear today, you'll start incorporating yourself. I'm interested to see how it works for me and my clients. I'll have a comment below if you have any questions on, if you want to start incorporating this for yourself, or if you have any other questions of how I'm implementing it for myself. Once again, it's on a very personal basis, so it's, each client is going to be different. But I hope you guys like this video. Comment, share, and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in. See you later.